This episode of Unicorn Duck Shadow Puppet is brought to you by Netflix. For a free 30-day trial, head on over to netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV. Hello, hello, hello! What's up for a little bit of a late edition Unicorn Duck Shadow Puppet episode 13? A little late in the week, but we all here. Wait, is it episode? No, it's not episode 13. It's episode 21, isn't it? Wait, what is it? I don't even know. What episode are we on?
It's 13.
Why did somebody put 21? Oh, it's because of the date. Today's the 21st, isn't it? Oh, it's 22nd. Oh my God. F this. I'm going home. You're watching Gamebreaker. I'm Gary Gann, and everything is screwed up around this place. So what's coming up on this week's show? Well, we finally at least know what we're going to be paying for WildStar. The release window did get pushed back and Gamescom is a go. All that and more, but first, of course, joining us as always, Farhan Siddiqui. How are you, sir?
Hello.
Hello. Good. And joining us again, Mark Taylor from Guildumbra. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks.
And audio is out of sync. Perfect. I'll fix that while I just make up words and kind of just kill time while I go over to this computer over here and click on things and put that right back. Okay, now we should be good. There we go. Probably audio sync should be back.
Sounding good now?
It's an effed up day. It's a crazy day. All right. I don't know. I think we can talk about this next week. I know this was like big news this week for WildStar, but I think I'm going to leave this for next week. The whole crowd control mechanics.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it? Or you want to leave it for next week? Leave it for next week? We got enough to talk about.
I think we have a lot of business model stuff to talk about. So
we really do. And that was like the big thing. So let's jump into that. So, WildStar revealed their business model this week, and I don't think anyone called this ever on in any way, shape, or form. Box price, subscription, and the option to sell a month's subscription for in-game gold. So in theory, if you guys haven't heard this news yet, it basically gives the ability for people with a lot of time on their hands to play WildStar basically for free. Because if you've got a lot of time in gold farming, you could basically play it for free. All the full details are up on Gamebreaker. You guys want to go check it out there. Did anyone see this coming? We kept hearing hybrid. This was like, what?
Yeah. I mean, they kept saying hybrid over and over, and this isn't really what I would call hybrid. Like, I would call this a submodel with, and like, you can play to, like, you can. It's really more focused on gold selling, I think, than it is on actually letting you play for free. But I mean, you can technically. I guess it's technically hybrid, but yeah, I thought it would have more free to play. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it completely tries to control the market across a number of different aspects, right? To basically cut the gold farmers out of it and become the gold farmers to kind of keep all the profits, at least within the company, right?
It's kind of great though, right? I mean, so we're gonna talk more about this, but as soon as I read this, there's a lot of if you guys are familiar with EVE Online, they have a system called Plex, which is very similar to the Plex system, almost kind of exact. And they did a really good job of that exact thing too. This kind of really cuts gold farming out of the picture. We're going to get into a little bit more. But I don't know. I definitely just didn't. When I heard hybrid, I guess this wasn't what I was really thinking. It feels much more like, I guess most people are going to sort of view this as a pretty much traditional sub-based game. Then it's definitely not like a free-to-play game.
Yeah, it's pretty much just, it feels like a subscription because it is a subscription game. I feel like the majority of players are going to be paying for a subscription if they're going to be doing this. Like some of the more hardcore players who have a lot of time and they're really invested in the game, they're going to be, because if you think about free to play, what is the thing, like if you wanted a hybrid free to play, you would want some of the advantages that come with free to play, right? Mm-hmm. And what free to play tries to accomplish is it tries to lower the entry to barrier, right? You try to get people into your game to be playing it a lot, and like this doesn't really do that. What it helps is the players who are playing a lot and who have the time to actually go get that gold and to sell it to people who are also like invested enough in the game that they want to spend more money on top of their subscription.
Yep.
I mean,
And the big difference here, really quick, just to clarify, because I'm watching chat room. The big difference, yes, between this and EVE Online is the box price, right? So yes, buying the box
Right.
at full price is a big difference for sure, but it is also a brand new game coming out. So, what'd you have, Mark?
I was just gonna say, I mean, I like it for a number of different reasons. I mean, we could have 15 shows probably on this, but I like it for the fact that the barrier to entry is your financial, outlay. I don't mind paying money to, get the game. That just doesn't bother me. And then I don't mind paying a subscription because, I want to make sure that the game is healthy if it's good and they can continue development on it. But then also that in and of itself kind of weeds out this whole free-to-play community, that comes in, whether they be hackers, which is a really big thing that really hosed PlantSide too, I think. And just the mindset of a lot of the people that just do just the free-to-play games. So your community seems to be more vested because they've made the financial investment, to get there. But back to what Farhan was saying, what I don't see in this, and maybe it'll come out in time, is I don't see the advantages of people who are just paying, the subscription, because normally, other than the fact that they've come up with different models to try to get you in there free to play. So obviously in this instance they're using C.R.E.D., which we'll talk about. What are the pros? What are the above and beyond things that you're getting if you are paying your monthly fee? Because that's what I'm not seeing right now.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
what,
I don't know. Yeah, we're going to talk about it a little bit more. I don't know if you're going to see any like major perks for becoming a subscriber. I sort of feel like it's probably like they're on equal playing fields. It's just one or the other, time versus cash in your pocket. But I know a lot of people are saying like, wow, what a ballsy move, in this free to play market 10 years after WoW. People saying like no AAA MMOs should be coming out free to play or with a subscription. I don't know. What do you think? You got, and also we found out that Elder Scrolls Online, which is going to be another game coming out somewhat around the same time, going full subscription. Kind of surprised by both of these games going full subscription in this market.
I mean, I'm a little bit more surprised by Elder Scrolls than I am by WildStar, because WildStar was saying hybrid, so I always expected there to be some sort of subscription-y thing in there somewhere. I just didn't expect it to be this focused on the subscription as it was. And I mean, it'll be interesting to see these two MMOs face off, just because with them both being sub, I don't think, like, it's much less likely that people are going to pick up both and try both at the same time.
That's definitely true. And then, following on to that, I'm also surprised that they stayed true to that whole $15 number. I was thinking that if they were going to do a hybrid, I was thinking that, okay, you're going to pay a box fee to buy it initially. Okay, I get that. But then I was thinking that maybe their innovative move or their hybrid kind of thing was going to be a cheaper monthly fee, like maybe $8 a month versus $15. I mean,
right.
Generally, if you can't scrape together $15 a month, you've probably got some life issues, or you're really little, or you're young rather. I mean, because you should theoretically, it's probably sanctimonious of me to say that, but on average, you could scrape together about $15 from doing any number of different things. But the fact that they kept $15, yeah, now you're looking at $30 a month to play both games, and more if you're playing Final Fantasy, by that time. That's going to definitely make some decisions for some folks. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially a lot of the Gamebreaker peeps are. I think we have a large community of players who play a lot of different games, right? We have a lot of people who jump around and play not one specific game. And again, I guess there's some other examples I guess you can talk about. So like, you've got Plex and Eve. You've also got the Chrono Scrolls in Terra, which is similar. So now in WildStar you're gonna have C.R.E.D., C.R.E.D, or it's the Certificate of Research, Exploration, Destruction, and Development. Talking about what you just said though, Mark, what's actually surprising, it would have been interesting, I guess, possibly, is wonder why it probably would have been fine, the math would have got all wonky, but would have been kind of awesome if you like didn't have enough cred for a full month, but you could put it towards your month and then drop that price down. So it's like you could put in X cred and then maybe you have to make up the rest of it and pay $8 a month or $5 a month, whatever you're kind of lacking. That would have been pretty interesting as well. But Farhan, would you have something?
What I was wondering is if you guys knew even in Terra, if they also went like $5 over the subscription price in order to buy like the Chrono Scrolls or the Plex, because I haven't played either of those games, so.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure chat room will tell us right now. I'll keep an eye on chat room. Yeah, because we're gonna get into that. That is an interesting aspect to this as well. So I'm sure a lot of people out there who haven't played those games are probably not used to the model because it is a little bit outside of the box. So here's the deal. So everyone has to buy the box. You got to buy the box. There's no way of getting around it. There's no free version, nothing like that. Got to buy a box at a full price.
Which is kind of expensive. Their box price is a little high for just regular. They haven't even gotten into the whole collector's edition.
Collector's editions and all that stuff. Yeah. So that there's no getting around that at all. Then you've got two types of players. You've got the player who's got a ton of time, but can't afford a subscription, and you can earn these in-game, gold, basically farm up gold and get cred. Or you've got players like myself who have less time to play and will pay for the subscription and just get all kind of the same stuff. So, so basically the end of the month comes, I renew my subscription with real cash, but I can't afford, to say that epic sword I really want. So I buy a month's worth of cred and I can sell it. Farhan here maybe buys his game time with gold. I buy my epic sword with the gold I made selling cred. Win-win, kind of all around. So I don't know. I actually really like this model. I think it does a lot of really good. Especially, I really do like the fact that it really cuts down on gold farming a lot. Like I don't think it's going to squash it to the point that it's just non-existent. But man, it's going to create a big impact.
I mean, to your point, like you're saying that, you don't have the time to invest like somebody who's either unemployed or underemployed or just so dedicated that they're going to just, farm stuff for gold that they can sell and buy a credit or whatever. I mean, that is so cool by itself because, if you work, if you're married and you got kids like me, I probably don't have time to get the sword of 1,000 truths or whatever.
Yep.
And so now it's an option because I'm that guy who's bought gold. I used to buy gold in SWG, and I was that guy because I didn't have the time, or to get the stuff that I wanted, to have the quality of life, so that I could hang with my friends and get to a position that I could actually start having fun in the game. And so this actually will allow me to do that. This will allow me to buy the custom things, so I don't have to look like everybody else, or feel like I'm keeping up with my friends who might be playing more than I am.
And that's the worst thing, is if you especially if you roll with a pretty hardcore guild like you do, you're gonna have a lot of people who probably have a lot of time on their hands and probably start out leveling you and out gearing you and all that stuff. And if you can't keep up, the game gets boring because it's MMO. We want to play with people. So I completely agree. Farah, what do you think you're gonna do? Are you gonna sub? Are you gonna go cred? What are you doing?
I think I'm gonna do a subscription model just because I feel like even if I made more gold, I would want to use that gold to then make more gold and then get more gold. And then eventually, if I become like this mogul of like richness, then maybe I'll just buy cred at that point, because I feel like that is one of the things that cred's going to be nice for, is the people who are really good at playing the auction house. They're not going to have to pay to play the game because they're just going to have lots of gold anyway. But one thing that I want to address that's coming up in chat, like they're talking about how paying gold to get power, like can you get like the really awesome items and stuff. I mean, obviously, like the raid drop items or really drop items in general, probably you won't be able to just buy with gold. But I mean, they have said that they want to make crafting something that is viable, and in crafting, when you're trading, you're going to be trading it with gold. You're not going to be like bartering raid drops or something like that. At least I don't know how that would work on an auction house or something. So I mean, that still is there in some sense. So yeah, like it's not something that you're completely getting around, because if they want to make crafting viable, that is. So it's there.
I mean, so the interesting thing though also about the crafting house is they're talking about it's going to be a blind sale. So you don't necessarily, if I am understanding the way I read this, you don't actually see the name of the person that's selling, the cred or anything else, probably, for that matter. So that does a number of things. It level sets their economy. And and they said that they were researching economics and different economies of different countries for like a while to come up with this. So I did a little research, and it looks a lot like the Keynesian theory of microeconomic theory. That's my nerd cred, or my academic cred for the day. So they're doing a couple things by keeping it blind. You're preventing collusion, right, between the buyer and the seller. You're preventing people from doing a run on the market. You're preventing people from shorting the market. You're also preventing people from selling, this widget that normally would sell for 100 for Farhan to me for 1 gold, right? So you're keeping it fair. The other thing is by putting in C.R.E.D., which does cost $5 more than a monthly subscription. Well, now they're making it worth something to the people who want to be the free-to-play players, because now they have to accomplish X, Y, Z things in game, which is going to do a number of things. A, it's going to keep people playing because you're going to have to put time into it to get that money to sell it for that C.R.E.D. That is going to keep the appearance, if nothing else, that the world is alive, because you're going to be seeing people running around. Nothing sucks more than running around an MMO, and that is a ghost town, But by them backing it like that, they're kind of doing the same thing that the government or any government does by, making your currency worth something. We use paper dollars, but the paper is probably worth, a few cents or whatever. It's the idea that you agree that it represents X amount of gold behind it and is backed. So by them doing the C.R.E.D., they are backing the product, they're backing it, making it intrinsically worth something. And by them making it a blind sale, you're preventing one or two people who could make whatever the best widget is, if things were relative to that, from running the market and controlling it and dominating it and making it something so that the average person couldn't afford something. The negative side, based on basic capitalism, is you're now also preventing it from going for the lowest amount. So that's the reason why they even said in there that if they buy everything out, then you could buy the next one once it goes on there for the price right below that or something to that degree. Farhan, did you understand that part?
Could you say that last bit again?
So it's my understanding, based on reading it, that if they sold out of an item and then I guess the new item went on, that it would then start selling for the price right below that. But they're trying to level set the price.
So the commodities exchange, how it'll work is, it sounds like in WildStar they're going to have two different kinds of auction houses. They're going to have like a standard World of Warcraft or Star Wars or other game kind of auction house where you list like a bid price and a buyout, and then people can like search for specific items and buy it. And then they have like another one that's very similar to Guild Wars 2, where because the items are very similar, like for things like trade skill items, for things like C.R.E.D. and other things, there's no difference between one C.R.E.D. to another C.R.E.D. or between one gold bar to another gold bar or something like that. So for those items, you have just like, okay, this is what the current lowest price is, and this is how many are in stock at that price. And you can put in like at least in Guild Wars, you can even put in your own buy order. Like, okay, I don't want to buy at that price, but I can put in a buy order at a lower price. I don't know if the commodities exchange is going to have something like that, but at the very least, you could see what the current price is, and then so let's say I wanted to buy, C.R.E.D. Maybe I don't know why you would buy a lot of C.R.E.D. at once, but let's talk about like a trade skill item, like some material. Maybe you need like 500 of them. If there's 230 at 1 gold each, and then at 1.1 gold each there's like another 400, then you would buy the first 230 at that one price, and then you could buy the remaining amount at the 1.1 gold price that's above it. So that's how the commodity exchange would work as well. So basically, you can't just very easily manipulate it because of the way that people are only going to be buying that lowest price because of the way that it's just presented to the buyers. I know in World of Warcraft and in a lot of other games, you can sort of trick people into buying at a higher price than what it actually would be going for.
Right. And so that basically is what I was trying to say, but I did a crap job.
And I'm sure that people are going to figure out some ways to manipulate and figure out something, because like any economy, people will figure out ways to manipulate.
Well, one thing that I'm really curious about is that I know that in one of these interviews, Jeremy Gaffney said, like they asked him, like, okay, so is the C.R.E.D. exchange, like when you're buying C.R.E.D., is that going to be across all servers, like the same market, or is it going to be a server-to-server market? And at least right now they're thinking that, okay, if they're putting it into the code that's with the current commodities exchange, like what every other trade skill item is being sold at, then they would be different from a server-to-server basis. But your subscription isn't on a server-to-server basis, so does that mean like I want to find a server where it's easy to buy C.R.E.D. and then like play there to get to buy my C.R.E.D. there, and then play on my other server the rest of the time? I don't know. It's just
that's kind of That is kind
the
of weird
market
and
spread.
confusing. Yeah, if you went to those extents, that's interesting. I didn't even think of that.
You'd have to have a tune on every server to buy
Yeah,
do your buy
and then
order, and send it
monitoring
over.
the exchange constantly on every server to see where. But somebody will do it. No, there's no doubt about it. Somebody will do it.
If you see
Let's
a
jump back.
tune running, if you see a tune running by named Gordon Gecko, watch out.
There you go. It's Farhan. So like you said, so here some more details. So you buy the box, you get 30 days free, pretty much like standard MMOs. You also get 3 1-week guest passes for your friends, which is pretty awesome way to kind of get people into the game right off the bat. You know, usually they don't do the free to play trials and that sort of stuff like right off the bat. So 1-week guest passes for your buddies and friends. Again, Mark, you brought up a really good point though. Box is $60, which is quite high for, I mean,
That's high for an MMO because normally
yeah, it's usually
they're
$49.95.
like
$49.95 has usually been kind of what we feel. This one is $60 to start with. That's the starting point. And I guess, you know, regional equivalent of whatever the exchange rate and that sort of thing on, you know, whatever standard is in your country. Little high.
Yeah, and you know, kind of was concerned that they didn't mention like, you know, collector's edition or digital download. I mean, obviously that'll come over time.
Sure. A little early for
But,
that, I guess, though.
But you gotta do the investment because you know these guys got to try to get paid back from their initial investment to create the game. I get that, and I don't have a problem buying a product. You know, the whole thing about the whole subscription, like you're saying, is you're wanting to try to make sure that you're going to continue to have the game that you want. You know, if you get everything for free, then you know what's the impetus to try to keep this whole entire business model moving forward? While we playing Pinochle.
Now, the next thing that's really interesting about this is, so on the subscription side, it's going to be $15 a month. Pretty much, you know, the standard for a subscription-based game, at least here in the West, you know, World of Warcraft standards, almost everything else, not everything, but you can get that down to $11 a month if you want to buy the 12-month package. So if you sub for a year, you get $11 a month, save some money there. Completely standard again. Really, side note, no word of lifetime sub, right? Nothing yet?
No, thankfully no.
So we have not heard anything on
That's the
there.
kiss of death.
Yeah.
When you see that, run.
$400 package. But so buying a month of cred is not going to cost $15 a month like it does the monthly subscription. It's going to cost $20 to buy a month worth of cred. So from Carbine's point of view, they're loving it, the extra $5. What is this really kind of, what does this accomplish?
So I was wondering if they did this in Even and in Terra. I didn't see if anyone said anything in chat if that was true for the other games as well. But so I mean, like I was thinking about like why wouldn't they have it at the same price? And then like I realized that what I would probably do personally if it was at the same price, because I don't actually ever do the whole multiple months at a time subscription thing. I know I probably should because I played these games for such a long time that it would save me money, but I just like the option of being able to feel like I can get out whenever I want to. But if it was at $15, then what I would do is I would just always have a cred on my character. And then if I ever saw the price spike up on the market, I would just sell it then and just be happy that, okay, like I made some free gold, and later on I'll buy another cred, and then, you know, like I'll be fine for that. So maybe this is like their way of trying to avoid people from just like taking advantage of like market spikes or other things like that. They want to make it so that, you know, they would have to spike up pretty high to make up that extra $5, like 33% difference. That's huge.
I think it also though gets back to the whole fact that they were studying, you know, maybe I'm just seeing what I want to see into this. The whole studying of economics, of, you know, regular business practices. There's a thing called the price of money. If you're a business owner and you try to get a loan to try to have operating capital to run your business, they're going to put usury on that. They're going to put a tax. You know, they're going to have some kind of method. You know, like you get a home. You know, well, it's going to cost you this interest rate over time. That's the cost of doing business, because the people who are wanting cred are going to use it for one reason, and usually one reason only. Either A, to get a month's fee where you didn't pay for it, you used in-game gold. So obviously they're going to make you work harder for it. Or if you have a subscription, then obviously you want the gold, so they're going to make you work for it, right? That's just what I see. It's just it's a barrier, another barrier to entry to make you work for it. If you're already paying a monthly subscription and you're buying one, you want gold, you want to take the easy route, Taylor. So we're going to charge you more because you're a slacker. And then if you want to, just play for free, then they're going to make you work that much harder to get that much extra gold to get that cred for that 1 month sub. That's just how I see it.
If you guys had to like this is like just throwing a dart against the wall, but just like speculation. But if you had to just like throw a percentage out there, what percentage of the game do you really think are going to do the cred route month to month and be successful at it? Because I feel like it's going to be quite small. I could be totally wrong.
I mean, I agree. I think that it will be small, just because I feel like it'll be a significant number of hours that you would have to do whatever you're doing in order to earn it, unless you're, again, an auction house player, and then maybe it'll be easy for you. But for the majority of players who don't do that kind of thing, it'll probably take quite a significant time investment in order to do it. So I feel like not that many people are going to be are going to be buyers, which would then, I guess, but then that would like lower the gold price of it, because then you're lowering demand. But then more people are going to want to buy gold that way.
It's going to be interesting to see how the market all plays out. It's going to actually be really interesting. I always found the market in EVE Online really interesting to watch. I mean, in EVE, they have all the graphs and everything. It's like a whole stock market setup, and you can watch things and kind of look at things. Some people, that's all that they do. That's all they do is watch the market. And this is going to be, I don't know, it's going to be great. So let's down to the controversial stuff, if that wasn't crazy enough. The microtransaction front. I'm sure everyone is hoping for a firm no with this model that they've got, but they got to make some money. They are interested in them, but they said they're approaching the topic very carefully, and they haven't really released any details yet. So I don't know. How would you guys feel if they were to also put in microtransactions in on top of the box, on top of the sub, on top of the cred system?
Well, I mean, I just read something a little bit earlier. I haven't gone into a lot of detail. I just skimmed it, but like Elder Scrolls apparently is going to have a cash shop on top of their subscription thing. Now, I think that cash shop is sort of like World of Warcraft's original cash shop, like item or name changes, account transfers, so that kind of thing. Not really and
even cosmetic stuff. Yep.
Yeah. So I feel like right now WildStar should shy away from doing it, just because it'll help them just PR wise to say, hey, we don't have a cash shop. You are getting the whole game for this, and then like down the road a little bit, I'm sure that they'll add in something, but just because that's what everyone does. Yeah,
I mean, EVE Online has it. If you guys remember that whole, was it $50 or $90 monocle, whatever that thing was. This whole scandal of the news went crazy when they put that monocle in the game. Like you said, WoW just introduced the whole in-game store. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people would feel. I kind of agree with you. I think as a PR thing, they probably could kind of make it a lot easier on themselves if they don't have it. But I don't know. Maybe people aren't really paying that much attention. I mean, people on this show are going to, but I wonder if like the average consumer is like looking into it in such detail that's like that's a make it or break it moment for them, where they're going to do the research and go like, oh, this has a sub and a cash shop. I'm not subscribing.
But see, this is the same thing as like the why do you cater to the 1% thing? It's because the people who do care are loud, and they'll tell everyone else like, hey, stay away from this game, or go for it, kind of thing.
But what if they are just mounts and cosmetic items? Do you guys really care? Like what?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, if it's cosmetic items, which they normally try to say that it's not pay to win, then why do you care? It doesn't affect you. So if you are a free to play player and you're earning your cred by selling gold to get it, why do you care? Right? Because
so I don't care about cosmetic items at all. But the thing is that there is a slippery slope that a lot of other games have gone down, where they start out with cosmetic items on the cash shop, and then it just happens. And so just to dissuade people from saying like, we're not even thinking about that right now. We don't have a cash shop to do those kinds of things, and yet then I think a lot of people would be a little bit more comfortable. At least some people would. If they, I know it's easy to just add one in later anyway, so it's not really like it's a big difference in terms of whether or not they want to add it in later. But if they, if they're looking at their money and they're saying, oh, this cash shop is making us a lot more money, then there's that temptation, right, to just start adding in a little bit more, and then it just snowballs.
Well, yeah, we talked about it. We talked about that on the Republic a lot with Star Wars: The Republic, and I think that's the thing the gamers fear the most, is that they don't, especially when you're paying a sub, that people who are paying that subscription fee, they don't want to feel like they're being nickel and dimed. Like, you don't want to feel like at every turn, all of a sudden there's going to be something, because then they're gonna start questioning like, well, I'm paying a sub. Why isn't that just in the game? Why can't I just get it? Why would that not be in the game? And that's where it becomes, I think, as we coined the term on another show, a slippery slope.
Yeah, but that's also the reason why they have to come out with, and I don't want to beat this dead horse, but they have to come out with what are the perks of your subscription, because without that, the whole having a subscription, there's no reason for us to do it other, or not go the gold route, to buy your cred. I mean, there's got to be some reason other than the fact that I get access to the game and I don't have to worry about grinding for gold. There's got to be something that is a perk or a benefit of the
Only to
membership of the
subscribers,
subscription.
like only to
Something like
subscribers.
Yeah,
Because
there's
right now,
But then, do you really want to dissuade people from using cred when it's already sort of hard on the on in the first place? Like we said, not that many people are going to be using cred in the first place. So then, like, do you really want to make that even harder? I don't know.
oh, we lost your
there
audio
has to
there.
be some
There you are, you're
differentiation.
back.
Otherwise, what's the purpose?
I don't
There's
know.
got to be something.
I don't think there's going to be a differentiation. I think I think it's just like two different paths that lead to the same place. I don't know. I don't know if they're going to be like, hey, and as a subscriber, you're going to get this over the cred system. Because I think people with the time would then all of a sudden be like, okay, so not only do I sort of have to grind $5 more worth of cred to pay for this, but now I also still don't even get X, Y, and Z. So like, it's not really the same thing as paying with my monthly fee. So like, again, then what is another package on top of that where they maybe have to burn another 5 cred a month to get those top items that you're getting as a subscriber? Like it just keeps going.
I mean, the thing is that it's not a free-to-play model. Like it's not free-to-play. Everyone is a subscriber. Whether you're subscribing with your money or you're subscribing with your time, it's still a subscription thing. So, I mean, there's no reason to really differentiate it besides PR.
Yeah, I really don't think, Mark, I don't see them differentiating it. I don't see them coming out with perks. I mean, I could be wrong, but chat room is telling me that there's no difference. I don't know if there's confirmation on that, but I don't see them doing that at all. That'd be crazy. I don't know. I'm not sure. What about the barrier to entry, right? We talk a lot about like free to play games, a lot easier to get people into the game and make the barrier to entry really, really easy. I mean, free to play is on the rise for a reason. Elder Scrolls Online is hopping on the subscription bandwagon as well. But what do you think is going to affect Farhead? Do you think sort of maybe less people jumping into WildStar now that we kind of know it's a sub-based game?
I mean, certainly, like it's inevitable that there will be fewer people who will buy, the box and then start subbing than it would be if it was free, just because, it costs nothing. It's very easy. And this is something that actually sort of hits a little close for me, like it's a little personal because, like I have a bunch of gamer friends who are all very, very stubborn about moving on to another game. And I like to play a lot of different games, so I'm always trying to get them to try another game. And it's really easy when it's a free game, right? You just tell them, oh, you just need to download this, make an account, and then you're good. And then we're able to do it. And I mean, like recently, like I've been playing Warframe a lot, and that was easy for me to get them started just because hey, it's free. And then now at this point, like I think all of us have dumped some money into Warframe, so like it is that barrier. I think that the trial thing will take a little bit of the edge off of it, just because like as long as 1 in 4 people are willing to try it, then you can at least get some of them to try it out for a week. I don't know how much people will be convinced with just 1 week of gameplay to actually, then dump the money in, because I don't think that you're going to be able to like farm gold in that week and then suddenly start buying your game time from that. So there's no like true free to play route in here, even with a lot of grind. So,
Mark, what are you finding with your guild? Are you finding that like there's a certain group of people who are going to play it, and then you're already planning on who's going to get week-long passes who are kind of on the fence?
I'd say about 10% of the folks that are playing with us now, as soon as they found out it was a subscription model, said, nope, I'm not going to be playing that chapter or that game. I'll play something else. So, I mean, it definitely, it was right down the, it wasn't down the middle. Like I said, it was only about 15%, but they were a vocal minority, and that was just the deal breaker. So, especially folks who are going to be playing, that are still trying to make that decision on, do I play 1 or more games? So I had the folks who all they do is play free to play. Then I had the folks who will only play 1 MMO as opposed to hop around and see different things. As soon as they heard that, like, nope, I'm playing Final Fantasy or I'm playing Elder Scrolls if it comes out first, and I'm done, and I'm only going to play 1. So,
but like I said, I guess what was really good in your benefit is that the other 80, 90% of the people in your guild who are definitely going to play all have 4 passes. You can pan those out to people who are on the fence and maybe recruit some more. So I think that was a great move that they're going to do that with free passes right off the bat with your box purchase. I think if people who love the game, I think people who are watching this show are going to pay a subscription, or if you're more hardcore, you're going to go for a cred, route as well. But I want to know what you guys think. I'd love to know, like, kind of see what a split is like. Sort of make the comments a mini poll. Leave the comments down below. Let me know if you're gonna go for a sub or you're gonna go for the cred route and try and grind it out. It's gonna be interesting. All right. I don't think this is. I want to talk a little bit more about like the launch window and all that stuff. But first, I want to tell you guys about Shutterstock. If you guys checked out Shutterstock, go over to shutterstock.com, make an account. You don't even need to start a paying account right now. You can actually go start searching stuff, making light boxes and finding stuff for your website and all that stuff and saving it right now. We use Shutterstock literally every day here at Gamebreaker TV. One of the more recent ones I think I've showed you is we were looking for logos and things like that. Actually, we needed, so even simple things like this, like these arrows, on xivnation.com, we were making banners up and we needed some cool looking arrows to show server status for our server status page. Well, that's where we went and got some great arrows. These are great. I still love these. These guys, it's a super mega awesome time. If you guys watch the show with Mike Shafton and myself, when we play a bunch of different games, we needed some little caricatures to kind of represent myself and the Shafted. Boom, came right over here and got these little cube guys. Love these guys. But we literally use Shutterstock every day. Every day. It's always logged into. If you guys have a YouTube page or a guild website or some sort of creative project, you owe it to yourself to go check out shutterstock.com today. Make an account, start searching for stuff. And if you're ready, when you're ready to become a subscriber, all you got to do is make sure you use promo code Gamebreaker8. Just use that code Gamebreaker8 and you're going to save 30% off on your account. Head on over today, shutterstock.com. Make sure to use that promo code Gamebreaker8. All right, so I'm not really sure if this is like more or less important than the whole business model stuff that we just talked about, but it's another huge announcement. Spring of 2014 is what they are targeting now. 2014, which is I think what we all pretty much expected after last week's show. We kind of all agreed. But wow, Christmas first of all, winter 2013. Wide open for somebody to, you got Tesso about probably some in early 2014. Now you've got WildStar sometime 2014. Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it is sort of a shame, but with everything that we learned from like the state of the beta post and everything else, if they're really getting down deep in there and getting, responding to beta feedback and retooling all these systems in a significant way, I think that we can only be happy about that because we're going to end up with a much better game that we're actually going to want to stick with rather than just, we got a game like a few months earlier and then we all, end up disliking it. That'd be a lot lamer, right? So, spring.
Do you think they wanted to
it's going to give a lot more.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say it's going to give a lot more content for XIV Nation or XIV Reborn.
Yes, it is at XIV Nation. There you go. You think that actually fares kind of in XIV's favor a lot now? They've kind of got a clean 2013 to kind of motor through.
I know that I wasn't planning on getting, because I didn't play the original one, and I'm into Final Fantasy a little bit, but because of different just aspects of the gameplay, I wasn't planning on getting it. But at this point, yeah, I'm gonna pick up XIV just because I don't know.
Wow, so you were not even interested in it, and now that you've heard the launch window has been pushed back to 2014, you're in?
Yeah, I'll check it out. Why not? I'll pick it up. I'll play it for a while, and then I'll almost inevitably just drop it when WildStar comes out. So.
Love the way he just definitively knows. He's just, I'm just going to drop it in a second. I don't care how good Final Fantasy might be. I might be forget, I'm dropping it.
It's because of that secondary fee of $15 a month. I was just saying. I'm not.
Well, the thing is, for me, it's going to be 30 because I have to get my wife into it. Even if she's not really going to play it very much, she's going to want a subscription as well. So it's doubled.
Do you guys think there's a lot of crossover here between XIV, Tesso? I mean, are all MMOs? Are they all fighting for the same person's time, or do you think it's different players looking at totally different games? What are you finding in the guild?
I mean, Mark could probably talk to this as well.
Definitely. I mean,
I think you're muted or you're cutting in and out.
can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Can
you're
you hear me
audio
now?
Yeah, there you
cut
go.
out.
My dogs are outside and they're howling, so I'm trying to not look like too much like an asshole. But yeah, it's becoming almost an us versus them within the guild. You know, oh, it's ESO and like Crips and Bloods or whatever. And I'm trying to squash that now. But yeah, they're going for the same exact dollars because you're taking something that's almost underground, that's a completely new IP, but yet they got this whole kind of WoW in space kind of look, and that's really a gross oversimplification. But they see all these systems that are really cool, and they see this great attitude by the developers. But then you've got the people with the 20 years history of Elder Scrolls who are all about that. And so yeah, I get people coming in, and they come in initially normally for Elder Scrolls, and then they start seeing all the stuff we got on the website. I might use some of that Shutterstock stuff for WildStar, and then there's like this slow migration over over towards that. You know, oh wait a minute, because I played WoW. Did you play WoW? I played WoW. You know, like doctor, and so yeah. It's so far it's been healthy, but it's those single players that, you know, they're competing. And let's also not be coy. Once they realized relative to the state of the beta, they weren't like, okay, we're going to come out in January of 2014. They were like, what's going on in spring of 2014 that we can disrupt and try to take share away from, you know, that was completely, that was calculated, that was planned, and that was done specifically. Just like, you know, SOE does their, you know, their presentation the same weekend as, you know, all these other things are going on. So, I mean, it's planned. They're going after those same dollars. The people who are the smartest were the Japanese, you know, Square Enix, because they were like, oh, these two are fighting it. Hey, we're launching right now. You know what I mean? We've got all this open runway, and we're going to get 6, 7, 8 months of impunity, and not have to worry about anything during that time, right?
Absolutely. And I guess the really one thing that they both are kind of, you know, it's kind of an equal race now that we kind of know that both of them are going for subscription. So it's not like one of them is going free and one of them is going sub-based. So it's going to be an interesting race come spring of 2014. It's going to be interesting how this all plays out. Also this week, Jeremy Gaffney answered a bunch of questions. You should check out this over on Gamebreaker for the full entire Q&A thing. But we've just pulled out a few tidbits here. There's a lot of good quotes in this article, but when they asked Jeremy Gaffney about the possible prices going wild, going back to the economy of WildStar, he had this to say. He said, in many ways, the most important part is in the sinks. What you can spend gold on that is actually fun. What do players want to spend their gold on? In your normal game, buying loot is a really dangerous thing. We don't like selling power for gold pieces. It's a dangerous thing. He says, so we don't like that, and we don't use that sync because we have some better ones. Different kind of mounts, different movement powers, and different abilities in combat. Mounts are a great one, but what is even cooler is housing. So going back to this, I mean, does this rest some of your thoughts though on this? I mean, prices will basically be completely, in theory, you know, player controlled. But what players can afford will be dictated by the other money sinks in the game, I would assume, right?
So, I was thinking about how the whole C.R.E.D. thing would affect the economy, and whether or not, like, you know, is your average player actually going to need to buy C.R.E.D. with real money and then sell it for gold in order to, like, do manage your normal gold things, right? Like, to do like handle stuff like, you know, upgrading your gear with stuff like enchants or whatever kind of upgrades they end up with. And you know, repairs and all those kinds of just the gold things and things that they have in the game. Is your normal player gonna have to do that? And then, you know, I saw this quote and then I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, so maybe, you know, the market for these C.R.E.D. items in order to buy with real money to then get gold with is actually like people who are really, really into housing, because they want to just get even more housing stuff, and that's gonna be like a good gold thing. And that sort of like made me a little bit, you know, calmer about the whole thing. Like, oh, am I going to need to, like, spend money in order to get enough gold in order to, like, pay for repairs for my raids? Maybe not, because the housing is such a huge part of WildStar. It's such a, you know, like a central thing. Like, every system that they've said it taps into housing. I think a lot of people are going to want to spend extra gold on their house and things like that. And so that will be, like, a good market for people to
and it should be
buying C.R.E.D.
Yeah, and housing's gonna be massive, and it should be supply and demand. I mean, if 1 million credits for something is too steep, it shouldn't sell. So if they work out the economy correctly and it's not really being able to be manipulated, it should be pretty straightforward. Next up here, he said my argument is when you have a game that is a subscription model and people buy 3+ million boxes of it, that means there are a lot of consumers that are not scared of that model. Because I think when you have people that are leaving a game, it is because they're not having fun anymore, of not having fun more than it is the business model. I think he's right there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
He says, I think it is because do you have the right long-term gameplay and therefore retention? Maybe they're driven out faster because it is harder to casually pop in and out. But in general, I think that retention is the key to our market. And that is about having top-level gameplay that is fun, replayable, and compelling. And you have to have a lot of it at launch. Which I think he makes some great points here. Again, he's just like saying all the right things to the people who are watching this show, especially because everyone watching this show is just like, I know I'm going to be at endgame like really quickly, so I need to know there's going to be stuff there. But yeah, there's a lot of other games out there that don't really, they kind of put this on the back burner. They don't really find this as a priority, and that's when they like shoot themselves in the foot. And 14 days later, they're like, oh my god, we never anticipated the players would burn through this content in 3 days. And it's like, really? Okay.
It's never happened before. This is
Never.
so shocking.
It's like you're.
They spend
So
3 years developing stuff so that people can burn through it in like a week or something.
I know that's got to be so disheartening, right? And it's just like they've worked so hard on that stuff, and they just watch people blow through it, and it's gone. But I think he makes a really good point. I mean, a lot of people bought a lot of those free to play, now free to play games, I should say, knowing that they had a sub back then. And let's face it, it's not like the only wrong thing with MMOs in the past few years was the business model. I don't think that's why the game that fails, sinks or swims. I think a lot of them had serious problems. I don't know if WildStar can really deliver on this. I mean, if it's really going to be the proof is in the pudding, right? If they can really have fun, replayable, compelling end game content that everybody's looking for, they win.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
I think the thing is that like making that end game replayable and fun is the part that a lot of other MMOs miss out on, because like something like Star Wars had a really fun leveling experience and that was great. But the problem was that once you got to the end, like it was sort of lacking, and the raids were buggy, and the PvP kept getting like with each patch I felt like it got worse. So it just like with those kinds of things happening, if your leveling game is strong, then I feel like free to play is actually really great, because then you're continually getting more and more people to come in and play the content that you have that's really good. And if they leave at the end, okay, well, hopefully they spent money along the way somewhere. Whereas with a subscription model, you actually need to keep them in your game at the end. So that's what WildStar really needs to do.
So the benefit too then of C.R.E.D. is if they do go free to play down the line, let's just say that the whole $50, $60 barrier to entry is just too much, and they only get like 500,000 subscriptions instead of 6 million or whatever the number they're looking to get. They can always make it free to play for everybody, and then just say C.R.E.D. is something you can buy if you want gold, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
still cut out the gold farmers, right?
Sure. No, they totally could do that.
So I mean, they've at least planned it, right?
This next thing here was actually really interesting. I was actually after I read it, I was actually surprised they hadn't thought of this, but thank God somebody did, and he marked it down. So they asked Jeremy if you could purchase C.R.E.D. with gold while outside of the game, and he said that's a good question. At the moment, you have to actually have the item, but I'm going to make a note on you saying that, because that's a good point, and that would be handy to provide you with an access to do that. At launch, I guarantee nothing, but that is an excellent point. And I do think that would actually be kind of interesting, because, just think of your game lapses, you come back, you buy your way in with gold, that you played last time in the game. So I think that would be pretty cool to allow people to get back into the game with their C.R.E.D. that they had sitting on their account.
That actually was one of the things that I was concerned about. Is like, what happens if you leave the game, you come back, and you're like, oh, well, now I have to pay $15 once, and then I can get back onto the whole, treadmill of getting gold and doing it. But I guess at least if you have gold. One other thing that I thought of after reading this was that, okay, well, is it possible then that you could have a friend send you a cred in game or something like that, and then let you use that while your subscription is actually lapsed? That would be sort of cool. Like oh, like a new raid comes out and you want to get your friend back in who left, and so you just like sort of ponying down some gold with maybe they're going to pay you back or whatever afterward. And
Yeah,
and
but you
can get
can't
them in.
trade cred though.
No, but like maybe you could like use it and target like another person. I don't know. Yeah, I guess
Oh,
you're right.
like you pay their months.
Or like buy it for them. Like when you're buying it, like maybe if you could buy it through the website, like they're saying that maybe you'll be able to buy it through the website. Like maybe you could buy it for another person's account.
Yeah, that
like
makes sense. Like
some sort of gifting. Yeah, some sort of gifting mechanism. So a little bit more on gold farmers. He said gold farmers do not care about cred because they never pay for their accounts anyway. They buy boxes with credit cards that they've stolen. They never pay a dime for the games they are in. They do not care when they get banned. They do not care about any of that stuff. He goes on to say they do not care about paying their next month because they're going to get banned before the first month is up anyway. So because of that, cred is kind of valueless to gold farmers. So what this does is provide a nice, safe, and legal outlet for players to put money in, get a cred, and then trade the cred to other players for gold. So that key part, I think, there, so everybody get, that the price of gold is being dictated by the player base, and I think that's sort of the key reason why this system really works. We're not buying directly from the devs, or from illegal gold sellers here.
But each time a transaction happens, they're getting an extra $5 on the sub.
I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be the cred buyer.
You're gonna be the cred buyer. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean,
hi, my name's Mark. I buy cred.
I buy cred. I'm sorry. I don't know. Does anybody have any really bad experience? Anybody have any experience with Plex or Eve or Chrono Scrolls or any bad experiences with that? Because most of those games, from what I hear, everyone loves those systems. I think it's going to be a great system for WildStar.
I mean, I don't have personal experience because I didn't play either of those games. But one thing that I'm wondering is that, I feel like I would be one of those players that would want to maybe occasionally, if I need an infusion of gold, I would be totally willing to just pay a little bit of extra money. The thing is, at $20, that's sort of a high number for me to just want to throw it in there to get the gold. I'd rather just get maybe $5 of gold or $10 of gold, and that's something that you really can't do at the moment with the system. So,
I mean,
I don't know.
One great use case from Eve that I know is also, and I don't think we've brought this up, is normally when you buy gold, and I'm making fun of myself because I've bought gold, but it normally has that negative stigma with it because it's normally like, well, you're not hardcore enough, or you're not putting in, or you're just a dick because you're supporting the gold farmers. And it's beyond that. It's the fact that my time is worth more to me than my money, right? And so if I have the money, then I want to do this so I can make my life easier. So this is now also a stigma-free way to get it. And so by having Plex and Eve, I know people who've got, they've been playing a game for 7 years, and billions and billions of ISK is what they have, but they've got these ships that have taken them 2 and 3 years to build. And so I knew one friend, this just happened 3 months ago, he was sucking rocks, which if you play Eve, you know what I'm talking about. He was sucking rocks in a wormhole, and his buddy passed through him, and he went to the bathroom and came back, and the wormhole closed. So long story short, he couldn't figure out how to get back to wherever it was he had to get to. So he had to do all this stuff, to get to another clone, but then he had lost his ship that he had spent 3 years getting. And so here goes a guy who's been playing for 7 years, got all this money, but he didn't have quite enough money to go replace all the materials. So he went and he bought a Plex, sold it, got the rest of the money he needed so that he could get back to where he was. It still took him a week or so, but the point is now you just didn't lose years of time and effort to try to just get back to where you were because you had to go take a pee, So
welcome to Eve Online.
Yeah, so here goes a stigma-free way to just make your life easier, to get some gold, to get some quality of life issues, right? Sorted out.
Mark Taylor, follow him on the Twitter at GuildUmbra, and of course watch UDSP.IT on Tuesdays. Tuesdays is the day. 3 PST. It is Tuesday, right? Yes, I think so.
Monday usually, right?
Mondays.
Move it.
No, Mark looks confused.
Tell me
I
now.
can't
is it
remember the
Monday or
days.
Tuesday?
No, it's Monday. Monday at 3 PST. Damn, it's been a long day already, and it's just started. For Hanzadi, you follow him on Twitter at Udindel, UNINDEL. Monday, 3 PST, right here on UDSP. And you can follow me at Gary Gannon and follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV and WildStar TV, soon to be launched. We'll see you next week for some more UDSP.